said our goal, and Scott Lehman, I think, might have been the biggest proponent for this last meeting, and then everybody chimed in and said, yeah, was to go through the reporting form line by line and make sure everybody is doing it the same way. And we haven't done this, I bet, in, gosh, 4, maybe 5 years. I'd say that maybe the last time we did this was 2008 when I rejoined this group, so 7 years. And over the course of time, the word PAC has become a very familiar subject with this group. So we've got, in many cases, people have got, Fred just added an $850 PAC to his cars at the beginning of this month, and didn't tell his employees, and nobody's figured it out yet. But the problem is, where do you put all the money? We want to make sure everything shows up in the same spot, so we're truly comparing apples and apples. If somebody's saying, I'm making this much money, and you get and start looking at a composite, and it isn't there, it doesn't show up there, then you're chasing. If you're trying to compare or model your store against somebody else's, and that person is not reporting consistently, or you're not, then it just really doesn't do anybody any good. So I'm going to have everybody open up the composite, and for the member candidates and the guests in the room, this may be the first time you've seen a composite, so I'll quickly give you some highlights. First of all, the NCM ruler. The reason they send this out is not because you need to measure anything in inches in here, but you can lay it down the page, it folds across the spine, and you can stay on the same line all the way across the page. Pretty much so. So that's what this ruler is for. And I'll have everybody open up the composite to page 1. And very briefly, I'm going to, again, for the guests and for the member candidates that have not seen one of these before, you'll notice over on the far left side of each page, everything is in blue except for one line which is in yellow. That yellow line is the ranking line for the composite. So as you look at the page, as I said earlier today, left is right, and right is the most opportunity. So if you want to know who's doing the best on the ranking line, the composite, you go to the far left side of the page, and that's who's doing best. Page 1, we measure year-to-date net profit as a percentage of gross profit. We don't necessarily go to the largest net profit, but we say who's making the most out of what gross profit they have. And on the page you'll see Gary Zimmerman, number 21, who has stepped out of the room, so he misses his moment in the sun. Year to date, he is at 52.3% net profit to gross. So 7.2% of sales, as you see the line below it. And interesting thing, vehicle gross profit as a percentage of vehicle sales. If you see lines, member candidates and guests, if you see numbers in red, it means you are below the group average.
That swing is really high from one side to another. Is there bad data in there?
Well, that's why we're having this conversation.
Okay.
That's how to report numbers in the composite.
Right.
But yes, there's probably bad data, but we've got some folks that need to improve. So if you are in red, it means you are below the group average. If you are in green, it means you are above the benchmark. And as a reminder to the member candidates and the guests, benchmark is the 75th percentile. So it means by definition, 1 in 4 or better, 3 in 4 fall below the benchmark. So you'll see on page 1 that you've got 2 people above the benchmark, and the benchmark is a cumulative, not a monthly thing. So for the month, you've got 2 people. The month of May was month of April was a down month in relation to what the group had been doing. So that's one of the reasons why we only have 2 people out of 20 above the benchmark in the book. But as you look here, you start at the left side for the members and member candidates and guests on each page, and go from left to right, and you'll never find the same member on every page on the far left side. That shows that everybody does great things, and there's areas of opportunity for everybody in the group. Yes, John.
Greg, I apologize. Does the benchmark take in other groups or just this group?
For the independents, this is it. We are the only independent retail dealer group in the country, and they want me to do a second. I'm declining.
You're saying so this is the only or just for NCM?
Retail.
But
No, well, I don't believe NADA even has one anymore. I think NADA is all buy here, pay here. So, to my knowledge, this is the only independent retail dealer, sales-based group in the country.
That's pretty impressive, actually.
It shows there's a lot of room for opportunity for somebody, but yours truly isn't going to be the one that does it. So, at least, yeah, this is. I'm just happy with this group here. But what I'm pulling up here on the screen behind me, you're going to have in front of you. You should have for your reporting form, but not all. You'll have Tammy and Chris and second members of the group won't necessarily see this. So this happens Gary, every time I log in, it's you. So I have to change membership if I'm not. So you're going to be up here this morning. This is your form behind me.
Is that because 7 years ago you looked at my numbers and you just haven't updated your computer?
No, it's just whoever is the first number of the group is who they default me to, I guess.
Well, I don't feel special anymore.
So, what I want you to do, reporting form instructions, reporting form, and if you haven't got a reporting form, look behind me, because that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to go through line by line, and we start off pretty doggone quick, because some of these things will be easy, some of them are going to be less easy. So, at the top of the reporting form, it's a reminder, and I still have this happen. People say, I entered my data, I hit save, you didn't save it quick enough, and it didn't show up. So from time to time, we'll have months where members are missing data for something. They thought they input it, they didn't check it after they got done, and the bottom line is that they missed something because they didn't save often enough. It says online to save every 30 minutes, and they do this for security. I tell you, save every 20 minutes, because I've had it happen to me, and 30 minutes wasn't a reality. So that's why it's in red at the very top of the form. We use all whole numbers. And I forget who it was, but somebody had a number in here that was like, it was a member candidate, because that's who I was working most with this week. They had $2 million in reconditioning, and it was a decimal point issue. So we always use whole numbers. Forget about the things after the decimal point. A memo entry, and you'll see on behind me where this says reconditioning memo. If something is a memo entry, it is not being calculated in your gross profit. It is a statistical entry that will help you compare yourself to everybody else in a statistical comparison. Reconditioning. What do I mean by that? Well, you can see here in this dollars gross, that is your as we'll get in here to the retail sales, we're asking for you to enter your gross profit, your vehicle sales. To get to your gross profit, you've already had to subtract out the reconditioning. So by putting the reconditioning in here, it doesn't change when you calculate your gross profit or your sales dollars. So you've got to have those two in accurately. The reconditioning you put in, and you can put in $2 million, and it doesn't change anything except for it will change the reconditioning analysis section of the form as you scroll down here in this area. This is all calculated, and everything in this area right here which feeds a number of lines in the composite, comes from what you put in at the very top in retail sales reconditioning. So, let's look at in your instruction form, retail sales. There's three categories: cars, trucks, and other. And the only thing that goes in other are things that aren't cars and trucks. So, planes, trains, boats, motorcycles,
Houseboats.
houseboats, snowmobiles, those types of things. I couldn't even think what that was since I live in Florida. But that's all that goes in there. You know, it's very easy. If it's a car or a truck, an NADA or Blue Book, whichever you use, that's what it is. Real simple. The units, you count the number of units you sold. That's real simple. The sales dollars, this represents, the retail sales price, but it takes out, subtracts out taxes, license fees, title fees, extended warranty fees. In bold print at the bottom, you add back your dock fees here. Who has a dock fee? Nearly everybody in the room. Where do you put them? I don't care where they show up on your financial statement. We try to compare apples and apples. In a used car-based group, the auto finance companies that are advancing you money on your sales cap you out. And so you got to fit the dock. If you've got dock fees, it goes into the vehicle sales price. So we add dock fees back in here. How do you do it? You simply take the number of vehicles you sold. You should, somewhere on your financial statement, I don't care whether it goes into other income. I don't care where it shows up in your financial statement, there will be a number. If you're not doing this right now, please raise your hand so I can help you. Garrett, on your financial statement, where does your dock fee income go?
I've just got to start putting it in other income. Before it was completely missing.
It's completely missing.
I don't think they ever put it in yet. We have a dock fee of $596 now.
That's good. So what you do, on your financial statement, you're going to have your other income should be $596 times the number of vehicles you retail, right? Sometimes it isn't, for whatever reason.
So you just think I should put it in other income, but as well put it in this one as well?
When you put it in the composite, you do not put it in other income. Wherever it's on your financial statement, I don't care. And that's the one thing that I want to impress on everybody in this room. It doesn't make any difference where you put it in your financial statement. It's irrelevant. It's your job to pull it out of your financial statement and put it in the right spot in the composite entry. So if all it was going into your other income was the dock fee, you would, when you get to the other income section of the data entry here, that would be 0. And you would take whatever is in other income, divide it by the number of vehicles sold, and you split it up between cars and trucks accordingly. And add that amount of money back to cars for gross profit and sales. You add that amount of money back to gross profit and sales for trucks. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So that'll make your gross, because everybody in this room is bound by one thing. If you're financing vehicles, you're bound by what the banks are going to advance to you. And if you're capped out at 125 or 135% of book, then if you've got a $595 dock fee or a $10 dock fee, if you're pulling that money down and putting it in other income, then your grosses are going to look out of whack compared to everybody. So everybody adds the dock fee back in, both on the sales side and on the gross profit side.
So you add it back to these numbers that are behind you?
Yes.
The dock fee number is back in there?
Yes. Both the sales and the gross profit.
And subtract it from your other income if you have additional other income that's coming in?
Yeah, if, say for example, Scott, you had, because I know you've got a lot of other income. Just pull a number off the top. If you had $200,000 of other income and $100,000 up for dock fees. I know that's probably a big number, but whatever. You would simply take whatever however many cars you sold, you retailed, divide it into your into the dock fee money pool, zero that part out of the total of the other income, leave whatever else is in there if it's a hard pack, and then that money would get added back to sales, would get added back to gross profit.
All right, we're not doing it, that's why our average gross per car seems low.
I know there are a lot of people that are doing it that way, and that's why I'm stressed. The first thing out of the box may be one of the most important things, because we do a lot in here. You know, my favorite page, the composite, page 11, what I call my net variable gross profit. We talk about it every meeting, but your gross profits impact that greatly. So if you're not reporting it consistently, then there's no way for you to compare good or bad with anybody else. Mo?
So you're adding it in the total retail sales, and about, so if I sold a car for $10,000, you're adding $495 to it, or our document, $495.
Right.
So now the total gross sales will be $10,495.
Yes.
My profit, say if I made $1,000, it's $1,495.
Right. Exactly. And zero, and none of that dock fee would transfer down to other income.
Other income. Right now, my financial statement, I have other income, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Mary's doing it that way.
And so again, if you, let me get, and I mentioned earlier, Mo, are you on Dealer Track?
Yes.
Okay. Well, for those that are on Dealer Track, you can, I don't care if your financial statement reports it as other income, you can map it out differently to create this composite reporting form where it reports to other income on your financial statement, but it reports to this the way it's supposed to. They're independent of each other. So just because you've got a financial statement doing one thing, it doesn't have to do that when it comes to the composite reporting form. Questions on this? All right, let's keep moving then. We move into the credit sale section. Oh, the reconditioning memo. Pardon me. We've got units, we've got sales dollars, we've got gross. Reconditioning. Again, let's read this because this is where hard packs come in. This number for reconditioning represents the total of all reconditioning charges for each respective classification. This would include servicing, detail, paint and or body repairs, windshields, pinstripes, etc. Hard packs, and that's underlined, buyer's fees, and transportation expense for each vehicle should be considered as part of cost of inventory, not reconditioning. Do you understand that? A hard pack is not reconditioning. A hard pack is part of the cost of the vehicle. A buyer's fee or freight from the auction is not part of reconditioning. It's part of the cost of the vehicle. So we've had people that have put hard packs in and ran the reconditioning cost up, and that's not right. All right, any questions? Next section down, credit score sales. And this is another section where we've had some inconsistencies. First of all, and I'm trying to get NCM to work on it, we are apparently at the bottom of the list for composite changes. We report right now, in here you'll see behind me, and on your sheets, there is a section for credit score info cars, credit score info for trucks, and credit score info for other. In the composite, we have one page. It's all or 2 pages. The current month and year to date, all of them are melted together on pages 5 and 6. I'm asking for pages, 2 more pages, so we have cars and trucks, because reconditioning on trucks is generally going to be more than what it is on cars, and selling trucks at lower tier credit score is more difficult than it is cars, because trucks' relative value or relationship to book values. So right now, I would encourage you to enter them in correctly, cars and trucks. If you don't right now, until they give us the 2 pages, it's all going to show up on those same 2 pages anyway. But by definition, you've got 8 credit score reporting bands. And for those of you that have ProMax, you've got, I hope you're using the report in ProMax that allows you, because I think we've got it hung on everybody's ProMax sold vehicle report builder page. But we've got, it's very easy to pull this information out of ProMax if you're pulling the credit scores there. But you're looking at 8 reporting bands. You tabulate the count sales prices, and the one difference here, from the top section, from the retail sales section at the top, this includes all gross profit of the deal. So this includes F&I. The credit scores section includes F&I. The retail section does not. Everybody clear on that? So you would have everything that's in the gross profit in the top section, plus all your F&I income. Doc fees are added back here as well. So just like in the top section, you add the doc fees in. Any questions? So that takes care of a huge amount of the questions we have in the meeting, because we've got so much discussion about why aren't I'm grossing $4 grand a copy, and you show up in the composite at $2,700. And so people are always scratching their heads. Is that guy's number real? And he's always bragging about this. Well, they probably are real, just the way you report it. Hopefully this will get everybody on the same page.
Yeah, you gotta have hard packs back in too.
Hard packs, let's talk about hard packs right now. Hard packs, if they are going to other income, if they're going to other income in the composite, straight to other income, then they should be added back to gross profit. Many people use hard packs in different ways. They'll use them to offset specific expense line items. So, for example, if you put on a hard pack of $100 a car, and you increase your general ledger value, the ACV of your car by $100, and then you take that $100 as opposed to going to other income, you offset a BDC expense, BDC personnel. And some, people will do that. They'll offset certain things with their hard packs. If you're doing that, that money does not come back to the table. You've lowered expense, and the net profit is affected the same way. If you're taking it out and you're putting it in an inventory reserve account, I know Auto Giants does this. I know Pat and Steve do this. If you put it into an inventory reserve account, well, at some point in time, you need to pull that to income. But you need to be consistent about what you're leaving in the inventory reserve account. I think Joe and Bobby leave $300 per retail vehicle in inventory in their inventory reserve account. At the end of the month, whatever's left over, they pull the income, and they would indeed, that should come back to gross profit. You add back in, you divide it by the number of cars in each classification, and that would come back to income. Yes, Scott?
This part gets confusing to me. Because the way I have a bunch of hard packs that I do different things with, and the ones that come back into the financial statement, I don't add back to gross because they show up someplace else in dollars. The only ones I add back to my gross profit are the ones that aren't on the financial statement, like my warranty reserves and some of my gift backpack and some of that stuff that's off that would never show up because it's not on the financial statement, it's in accounts payable until the time that I bring it back
it's identifiable. So you have a warranty reserve because you have your, it's just an in-house warranty, right? That you put on every car. And it's for what, 90 days or something like that?
Right.
So after that, you know, you should for, you know, I don't know that I'd put it in, that's where it is. I might put it in a different account, but it's irrelevant. That balance needs to be monitored every month, and then whatever is in excess of what should be in there based on the number of sales you had and the time period. You know, obviously, if it's going to be a rolling 90-day count of vehicle sales. So at the end of the month, whatever is in excess, that ought to come back in because you've, you know, it's truly other income in your sense, but you're not, you know, it
Yeah, I
really
don't
is.
track it that much. I just do it at the end of the year. I wash that account out at the end of the year.
How much money is it there? Do you wash out at the end of the year?
Depends on what I use. I use some of it, depends on what I write down. So it's kind of becomes a bit of a slush fund for me, and I use some of that to write down inventory that and all of those hard packs that accrued. And then at the end of the year, it might be 300,000.
So-
That's why my December composite is always looks way out of whack with other income. If you look at what I did in December, I brought over $400,000 in other income. But it's because I accrued that all year long.
If you
in the
want,
accounts payable.
if you want your numbers to look correct based on the group, and the group would like you to have your numbers in like that, then you ought to at least once a quarter wash that out. Because you'll have, you know, as you said, you've got an immense amount of money building up there. And at the end of the year, if you did it at least once a quarter, then probably the last quarter would come close to whatever your write-down is, and you wouldn't have to bring a massive amount of money to the books.
Okay, so if I were to do it that way, and I'm sorry if I'm taking up too much time with this discussion, but I want to get this right.
Right.
Right now, the only dollars I add back to my per vehicle sold are the dollars that are accrued off the what I call accrued off the financial statement.
Okay.
Okay, because those are dollars that exist that don't show up anywhere. So now if I bring that back quarterly, I've already accounted for that gross. So where would I bring that money back in and how would I offset it?
Well, what you would be doing is you'd be eliminating an accounts payable. So as you the reason you'd be eliminating the accounts payable is because at that point in time you're saying the expense wasn't justified. To put an accounts payable, you had to, at that point in time, there was an offsetting entry. And you packed the car and you stuck it in AP. So you've increased the price of the car, and you say you've got to pay a payable
Right.
to a warranty company.
Yeah.
So it's no different than like a floor plan, if you will. Think of it from that standpoint. As you reduce, you would be reducing the price, or come backwards the same way. I mean, as how you would have to bring it back in, which would be lowering the cost of sale, which would be adding the gross profit in. So when you take that out of the
gross
payable,
profit twice.
huh?
Then I would be adding the gross profit twice. So the only way for me to do that accurately would be to not add that money back in on a monthly basis. Because that's what I do, I add it back in on a monthly basis, those dollars.
How do you add it in?
Manually, I know how much it is per car, so I add that amount per car, it's $450 per car, something like that.
You add it back in where?
On that page.
Okay,
Where the
okay.
sales.
So
But I
you,
only add that amount. So the only time my composite is out of whack is the last month of the year, December.
so what you're telling me is you are adding the money back in as gross profit then each month.
Every month.
So then you don't have to do anything.
Hey, Ray, I got a question, but the thing is, it's like what he's saying the only month that his composite is actually correct, is actually, wrong, is the last month of the year. So for the way me and Pat are doing it the same way, technically the only correct time our composite's correct is the last day of the year, the last month of the year, because our account stays full and we only empty the surplus. always that additional 300 a car, whatever past number is always kept back.
Yeah, but it's the last day of the year for the IRS. You do a 13th month statement, and you bring that to zero, and then the first day of the next year, you put it back in.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, though, is in terms of just looking at the numbers, how he was saying that his is actually only right, but is he only off the last day of the year? Technically, if we answer the question the same way, I just wanna follow, ours would only be correct the last month of the year, because that's the only month we zero it out. He's zeroing his out every month.
You will not zero it out for the composite. You will not zero it
Okay, I
out.
see what you're saying, only for the IRS.
It's the 13th month. It's the only, because the IRS won't let you,
What I'm basically saying is that basically.
your composite's right every month.
It's right, but what I'm basically saying is that we're actually right, but we're actually $300 a car, not to the good. Like, well, not to the good, but there's basically always gonna be $30,000, $40,000 sitting in an account that we're basically not counting.
They can
Correct.
just subtract it out.
We're not counting, is that correct?
They can just, if you're adding it back throughout the first 11 months, and then all of a sudden you dump it, you should subtract it back out.
Yeah,
That
I
way
think-
the composite will.
You should not bring it to income at the end of the year because you've already done it throughout the year.
Right, it should not come back in as other income in December.
Exactly.
Only the excess that wasn't accounted for throughout.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Whatever we determine.
So
the
you
excess.
are actually correct throughout the year because you are actually adding it back in every month.
Okay.
Any other questions on hard packs? Because the hard packs seem to be have always been an issue. Hard packs and docks are the two biggest issues and other income. So, we will come to other income here in a minute. I'm trying to keep moving along because, I'll tell you what, 10 o'clock, let's take our break. Let's take it 10 minutes if you would please, and we'll come back in and we'll keep going forward.